Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among the hills, there lived a girl named Ayanna. Ayanna was a girl with a passion for singing. She sang everywhere she went, on her way to school, while doing chores at home, and even when she went to bed at night. Her voice was like an angel's, and the people of the village would stop and listen to her whenever she sang. One day, Ayanna was walking through the village when she saw a poster announcing a singing contest. The contest was to be held in a nearby city, and the winner would get to record a song in a professional studio. Anaya's heart leapt with excitement. She had always dreamed of singing professionally, and this was her chance to make her dream come true. Ayanna knew that she had to enter the contest, but she never performed in front of a large audience before. She was nervous and afraid that she would forget the words or sing off-key. She confided in her best friend Tamara about the contest, and Tamara encouraged her to go for it. Tamara said, "You have a beautiful voice, Ayanna. You should share it with the world. Don't let fear hold you back." Ayanna thought about what Tamara said and decided to enter the contest. She practiced every day, working on her breathing, her pitch, and her tone. She listened to recordings of famous singers and tried to imitate their techniques. As the contest drew closer, Ayanna's nerves began to get the better of her. She had never been to the city before, and she was afraid that she would get lost on her way to the contest. She was also worried that she wouldn't be able to find the right outfit to wear. Ayanna had never owned a fancy dress before, and she felt like she needed one to look the part of a professional singer. Tamara noticed that Ayanna was feeling overwhelmed, so she offered to help her. She helped Ayanna choose a dress from her own closet, and she showed her how to do her hair and makeup. She even made Ayanna a good luck charm to wear around her neck, a small stone that Tamara had found by the river, which she believed would bring Ayanna luck and courage. On the day of the contest, Ayanna woke up early and set off for the city. She took a bus and then a train, and when she arrived at the contest venue, she was surprised to see so many other singers there. There were people of all ages and backgrounds, each with their own unique style and sound. Ayanna felt intimidated by the other contestants, but she reminded herself that she was there to share her passion for singing. She waited nervously backstage, watching as the other contestants performed one by one. Some of them were amazing, and Ayanna began to doubt herself. She wondered if she would be good enough to win. Finally, it was Ayanna's turn to perform. She took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The audience was silent as she began to sing. At first, Ayanna was nervous, but as she sang, she felt a sense of peace and joy wash over her. She closed her eyes and let the music guide her. When Ayanna finished her song, the audience erupted into applause. The judges praised her for her unique style and powerful voice. They announced that she had won the contest, and Ayanna felt like she was on top of the world. After the contest, Ayanna returned to her village, where she was greeted with cheers and congratulations. She had never felt so happy and fulfilled in her life. She knew that singing was her true calling, and she was determined to follow her dreams no matter what. From that day on, Ayanna became a local celebrity in her village. Everyone wanted to hear her sing, and she was invited to perform at weddings, festivals, and other events. Ayanna was grateful for the love and support of her community, and she continued to work on her singing, hoping one day to become a professional singer. As Ayanna's fame grew, she never forgot the lessons she had learned on her journey. She realized that sometimes the biggest obstacle to achieving our dreams is fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, and fear of what others might think. But Ayanna had overcome her fear by taking a chance and sharing her talent with the world. Ayanna also knew that she couldn't have done it alone. She was grateful for the support of her family, her friends, and community, all of which had encouraged her every step of the way. She realized that success is not just about talent or hard work, but also about having the courage to pursue our dreams and the support of those around us. In the end, Ayanna's dream came true. She was discovered by a talent scout who had heard her singing at a local festival, and she was offered a recording contract. Ayanna recorded her first album, which became an instant hit. She went on to become the most popular singers in the country, performing at sold-out concerts and winning numerous awards. But even with all of her success, Ayanna remained humble and grateful. She knew that her success was not just about her talent, but also about the love and support of her community. And she never forgot the lessons she had learned along the way, to follow her dreams, overcome her fears, and always be grateful for the people who had helped her along the way. And so, the moral of the story is that we should never be afraid to follow our dreams. With hard work, determination, and the support of those around us, anything is possible, and we should always be grateful for the love and encouragement of our family, our friends, and our community who help us to overcome our fears and achieve our goals. Once upon a time, there was a father named David and his son Liam. David was an experienced hiker and loved nothing more than exploring the great outdoors with his son by his side. One day, they decided to embark on a journey to the heart of a pristine mountain range. The journey would take them through lush forests, over rushing rivers, and up towering peaks. As they set out, they were immediately struck by the beauty of their surroundings. The forest was a vibrant green, with shafts of sunlight filtering through the leaves and dappling the forest floor. The sweet scent of wildflowers filled the air, and the chirping of birds filled their ears. As they continued, Liam suddenly heard a strange noise. David tried to reassure him, but Liam was insistent that they investigate. After a short while, they stumbled upon a hidden waterfall that was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The waterfall sparkled in the sunlight, and the sound was music to their ears. David and Liam decided to camp near the waterfall for the night. David built a fire, and they sat telling stories and roasting marshmallows. As they settled in for the night, they heard a rustling in the bushes. Out jumped a friendly bear who had come to join them for dinner. The three of them laughed and ate together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. The next day, David and Liam continued their hike, but now with the new companion by their side. They encountered many more exciting adventures, including crossing a rickety bridge over a rushing river and scaling a towering mountain. Finally, after several days of hiking, they emerged from the forest, tired but exhilarated by their journey. David and Liam hugged each other tightly, grateful for the bond they had formed and the memories they had created. From that day forward, they continued to go on many more adventures together, always cherishing the time they spent in nature and with each other. Whether they were scaling peaks or simply exploring new trails, they always felt a sense of adventure and excitement, knowing that they were making memories that last a lifetime. And so, sweet dreams to all, and happy hiking to those who dream of exploring the beauty of the great outdoors. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Ava who lived in a world full of stars and galaxies. Ava had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the universe and dreamed of one day becoming an astronaut and exploring the stars. One night, as Ava was drifting off to sleep, she suddenly found herself transported to a magical world where anything was possible. There she met a wise old wizard who granted her one wish. Ava wished with all of her heart to become an astronaut and explore the stars. The wizard smiled and waved his wand, and suddenly, Ava was soaring through space, surrounded by the most incredible sights she had ever seen. She visited galaxies of all shapes and sizes, each one more beautiful than the last. She met strange and wonderful creatures, each with their own unique story to tell, and she explored countless planets, each one filled with its own wonders and secrets. As she journeyed further and further into space, Ava realized that there was so much more to the universe than she had ever imagined. She learned about the history of the stars and the mysteries of the galaxies, and she discovered that the universe was full of magic and wonder. And finally, after what seemed like an eternity of exploration, Ava returned to her own world, and with a newfound appreciation for the magic and wonder of the universe. From that day forward, Ava never forgot her incredible journey into space, and she went on to become the greatest astronaut the world had ever seen. And every night, as she drifted off to sleep, she was transported back to the magical world of stars and galaxies, where anything was possible. So sweet dreams, and may your dreams take you on fantastical adventures to far-off worlds and beyond. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a little girl named Bella Boo. Bella Boo was a sweet and kind little girl who loved nothing more than spending her days playing with her friends and dreaming about unicorns. Bella had long brown hair that flowed down her back in soft waves, and big brown eyes that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. She lived in a cozy cottage on the edge of a dense forest, where she spent most of her days playing with her toys and exploring the woods. One day, as Bella was walking through the forest, she stumbled upon a clearing she had never seen before. In the center of the clearing stood a beautiful white unicorn with a golden horn and a rainbow-colored mane. Bella was amazed by the sight of the unicorn and slowly approached it. To her surprise, the unicorn spoke to her. "Hello, Bella Boo," the unicorn said. "My name is Sparkle, and I have been waiting for you." Bella Boo was shocked that a unicorn was talking to her. She approached Sparkle and asked, "Why have you been waiting for me?" Sparkle replied, "I have been waiting for someone who loves unicorns as much as you do. I have a special mission for you, Bella. I need you to help me save the forest from the evil wizard who wants to destroy it." Bella was thrilled to be chosen for such an important mission. Sparkle gave her a magical wand and showed her the way to the wizard's castle. Bella set out on her adventure, determined to save the forest. She journeyed through the forest, over hills and valleys, and finally arrived at the wizard's castle. The castle was dark and eerie, with black stones and twisted trees. Bella could feel the wizard's evil magic all around her. She raised her wand and said the magical words Sparkle had taught her. A bright light shone from the wand, and the castle doors opened. Bella entered the castle, her wand at the ready. She found herself in a long hallway with many doors. She opened the first door and found herself face to face with a giant spider. She pointed her wand at the spider and said the magic words. Then the spider poofed and disappeared. Bella moved on to the next door. She opened the second door and found herself in a room filled with snakes. Well, again she pointed her wand at the snakes and said the magic words, and the snakes disappeared, and Bella Boo moved on to the next door. Bella continued through the castle, defeating every obstacle that came her way. Finally, she arrived at the wizard's throne room. The wizard was tall and twisted, with a long beard and piercing eyes. He was sitting on a throne made of black stones and surrounded by his minions. Bella Boo raised her wand and said the magic words. A beam of light shot from her wand and hit the wizard, turning him into a toad. The minions soon disappeared and the castle started to crumble. Bella quickly made her way out of the castle and back to Sparkle. Sparkle was waiting for her in the clearing, and when Bella arrived, Sparkle thanked her for saving the forest. "As a reward for your bravery, Bella," Sparkle said, "I will grant you a wish. What do you wish for?" Bella thought for a long moment and said, "I wish for every child in the world to have a magical adventure like I did." Sparkle smiled and granted her wish. From that day on, every child who loved unicorns was given a magical adventure just like Bella's. Bella went back to her cottage, happy and proud of what she had accomplished. She fell asleep that night, dreaming of unicorns and magical adventures. The next morning, Bella woke up and went outside to play. To her surprise, she saw all of her friends gathered around her cottage waiting for her. Bella Boo smiled and told her friends all about her adventure. She showed them the wand Sparkle had given her, and even did a little magic trick for them. Her friends were amazed and excited. They all wanted to have their own magical adventure with Sparkle. Bella smiled and said, "Maybe one day you will, but for now, let's play and have some fun." And so, Bella and her friends spent the day playing in the woods, imagining themselves as brave heroes on their own magical adventures. They played with their toy unicorns and pretended to defeat evil wizards, just like Bella had. As the sun began to set, Bella Boo's friends went home, and she went inside to her cottage to get ready for bed. She climbed into her cozy bed thinking about her magical adventure with Sparkle and all the fun she had with her friends. As she drifted off to sleep, she knew that she would always have a special connection to unicorns and magic, and who knows, maybe one day she would have another adventure with Sparkle and the unicorns. But for now, she was happy to have her memories and her friends. And so Bella fell asleep dreaming of unicorns and magical adventures, feeling happy and content. The moral of this story is that you can do anything if you believe in yourself and work hard. Even if you're small, you can be mighty. If you have a dream, you should follow it and never, ever give up. And most importantly, you should always be kind to others and help those in need. As you drift off to sleep tonight, remember that you are special and you are loved and you can do anything you set your mind to. Once upon a time, in a world full of spices and flavors, there was a master chef named Lorenzo. Chef Lorenzo was renowned throughout the land for his ability to create delectable dishes that could bring tears to the eyes of those who tasted them. One day, the king of the land summoned Chef Lorenzo to create the ultimate dish. The king wanted something so fantastic that it would make all the other dishes in the kingdom pale in comparison. Chef Lorenzo, being the ambitious chef that he was, eagerly accepted the challenge. However, Chef Lorenzo soon found out that creating the ultimate dish was easier said than done. To create such a dish, he needed to acquire ingredients from all over the world. And so, with his trusty spatula in hand, Chef Lorenzo set out on a journey to collect all the necessary ingredients. Chef Lorenzo traveled far and wide, from the deepest jungles to the highest mountains, collecting exotic ingredients such as dragon fruit, unicorn milk, and mermaid scales. He even battled fierce creatures to acquire the ingredients he needed. After many months of collecting ingredients, Chef Lorenzo finally returned to the kingdom to prepare the ultimate dish. But upon arriving at the castle, he was greeted with the news that the king was ill and could only eat chicken soup. Chef Lorenzo was flabbergasted. all his effort, all this time spent collecting exotic ingredients, and the king only wanted chicken soup? But being the wise chef that he was, he decided to put his culinary skills to the test and create the best chicken soup the king had ever tasted. Using his vast knowledge and experience, Chef Lorenzo added just the right combination of spices and flavors to the chicken soup. And when the king tasted it, his eyes lit up and he exclaimed that it was the best chicken soup he had ever tasted. The moral of the story is that sometimes the simplest things can be the most satisfying. It's not always about having the most exotic ingredients or the fanciest dish. What matters the most is putting love and care into everything you create, no matter how simple or complex it may be. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful garden filled with colorful flowers and buzzing insects. In this garden, there lived a dragonfly named Darcy and a ladybug named Lucy. Despite being different types of insects, they were the best of friends. Darcy and Lucy had been friends for as long as they could remember. Their friendship began when they were both still in their larval stages. Darcy was just a tiny dragonfly nymph, crawling around in the mud at the bottom of a pond. Lucy was a tiny red and black ladybug, climbing up a blade of grass. One day, as luck would have it, they both ended up on the same leaf. They were both surprised to find someone so different from themselves, but they quickly struck up a conversation. They discovered that they both had a lot in common, despite their differences. They both loved flying and exploring the garden, and they both enjoyed eating aphids. As they grew older, Darcy and Lucy continued to explore the garden together. Darcy would fly high up into the sky, looking down at the garden below, while Lucy would crawl along the leaves and flowers, searching for tasty treats. One day, while they were exploring the garden, they stumbled upon a group of ants who were carrying a big piece of cake. Darcy and Lucy were curious and followed the ants, hoping to get a taste of the delicious cake. Well, the ants didn't take kindly to the dragonfly and ladybug invading their territory, and they attacked them. Darcy and Lucy were outnumbered, but they were determined to protect each other. Together, they fought off the ants and they claimed the cake as their own. And from that day forward, Darcy and Lucy were known as the best of friends. They continued to explore the garden together, and they always had each other's backs. And so Darcy the dragonfly and Lucy the ladybug remained the best of friends, soaring through the garden and enjoying all the beauty and adventure it had to offer. Once upon a time, in a land filled with rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a young girl named Emma. Emma was a curious and adventurous girl who loved nothing more than exploring the world and learning new things. One day, while exploring the forests near a village, Emma stumbled upon a strange rock with markings on it. She took it back to her village and showed it to her grandfather, who was a wise old man with a great love for history and science. Her father recognized the markings on the rock as the footprints of a dinosaur, and he told Emma all about these incredible creatures that lived millions of years ago. From that moment on, Emma was fascinated by dinosaurs. She read every book she could find about them and learned all about their different types, sizes, and habitats. Every night before bed, Emma would close her eyes and imagine herself back in the time of the dinosaurs. She would walk among these incredible creatures, seeing them up close and personal, and learning even more about them. And then one night, something special happened. Emma fell asleep and had the most incredible dream. She was transported back in time to the age of the dinosaurs, and she was surrounded by these amazing creatures. She even made friends with a friendly T-Rex, who showed her around and taught her even more about the incredible world of dinosaurs. When Emma woke up, she was filled with a sense of wonder and excitement, and she knew that she wanted to turn her love of dinosaurs into a career. And she wanted to study hard to become the most famous paleontologist in the whole world. She wanted to travel the world discovering new and exciting fossils and share her love and knowledge of dinosaurs with everyone she met. And as the stars twinkled in the sky and the moon shone bright, Emma drifted off to sleep, dreaming of all the incredible adventures she would have with the dinosaurs in the future. The end. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Eve who loved nothing more than to play in her treehouse. To her, it was her own special castle, a place where she could escape reality and let her imagination run wild. She would spend hours inside of her treehouse, dreaming of the countless adventures she would have as the warrior queen of her castle. One day, as she climbed into her bed to go to sleep, she closed her eyes and let herself be transported to her dream world. She found herself standing on a lush, green hill, surrounded by her army of loyal soldiers who were eagerly waiting for her next command. Ahead of her was a dark forest, and she could hear the sounds of battle coming from within. She spurred her horse forward, leading her army into the thick forest, her sword drawn at the ready. As they entered the forest, they were suddenly ambushed by a band of trolls. Eve's army quickly formed a defensive line, but the trolls were fierce and numerous, and they soon began to push the soldiers back. Eve rode to the front of the line, her sword flashing in the moonlight as she fought with all of her might against the trolls. She swung her sword with deadly precision, striking down foe after foe, and her army rallied around her, inspired by her bravery. The battle was intense, and at times it seemed as though the trolls would triumph, but Eve never gave up. She fought on, even when the odds seemed insurmountable, and slowly but surely her army began to gain the upper hand. Finally, after what seemed like hours of intense fighting, Eve stood before the leader of the trolls, a massive, hulking beast with razor-sharp teeth and claws. She raised her sword, determined to protect her kingdom and her people, and charged forward, clashing with the troll in a fierce duel. With every swing of her sword, Eve felt her strength and confidence growing, and soon she was dodging and weaving around the troll's massive blows, striking back with lightning speed. Finally, with one final, powerful strike, she felled the troll and saved her kingdom from danger. As she stood there, sword in hand, surrounded by the bodies of the fallen trolls, Eve let out a triumphant cry. She felt alive and free, like the warrior queen she had always dreamed of being. And she knew that no matter what the future held, she would always have the courage to follow her dreams and live the life she wanted. Eve opened her eyes, back in her own room, with a big smile on her face. She hugged her pillow, feeling grateful for the adventure she had just experienced, and for the freedom and excitement she felt in her dreams. And she knew that no matter what the future held, she would always be the warrior queen of her castle, and that her dreams would always be there waiting for her, just like her trusty treehouse. Once upon a time, there was a father and son who lived in a small village in the middle of a magical forest. The father was a carpenter, and he spent all his days crafting beautiful furniture and wooden toys to sell in the nearby towns. His son, who was just 8 years old, loved nothing more than spending time with his father in the workshop. One day, The father and son were out collecting wood in the forest when they stumbled upon a clearing they had never seen before. In the center of the clearing was a small rundown house. As they got closer, they realized that the house was inhabited by a magical creature known as a hobgoblin. The hobgoblin was small and mischievous, with pointy ears and a curly beard. He explained to the father and son that he had been living in the forest for many years and had grown lonely. He offered to grant the father one wish in exchange for his company and friendship. The father knew immediately what he wanted. He wished for his son to have the ability to speak with animals, so that he would never be lonely in the forest again. The hobgoblin agreed to grant the wish, but warned them that there would be a catch. The power would only last until the next full moon. Over the next few weeks, the father and son spent their days exploring the forest and talking to all the animals. The son was thrilled to be able to communicate with his furried and feathered friends. He spent hours playing with rabbits, squirrels, and birds. As the full moon approached, the father and son knew that their time with the animals was coming to an end. They spent their last few days in the forest, saying goodbye to all of their new friends. On the night of the full moon, the son was heartbroken to find that he could no longer speak with his friends. He cried himself to sleep, but his father promised him that they would always be there for him and that he would never be lonely. From that day forward, the father and son spent all their days in the workshop crafting new toys and furniture for the villagers. And every night as they fell asleep, the father would tell his son stories about the magical forest and the friends they had made there. Years went by, and the son grew up to be a talented woodworker, just like his father. And although he could no longer speak with the animals, he never forgot the lessons he had learned in the forest. He knew that he was never truly alone, as long as he had his father by his side and the memories that they made together. And so the father and son continued to work together in their workshop, crafting beautiful things and sharing stories, always surrounded by the love and magic of the forest they had come to know so well. Once upon a time, in a magical land, there lived a brave griffin named Gryph. Gryph was known throughout the land as the protector of the mountains and the skies. He was fierce and strong, and his loyalty to his homeland was unwavering. One day, while Gryph was soaring through the skies, he noticed that his homeland was under attack by a powerful army of ogres. Gryph knew that he couldn't defeat the ogres alone, so he summoned his most trusted allies to help him. The first ally that Gryph called upon was a mighty dragon named Drax. Drax was known for his incredible strength and his fiery breath. Together, Gryph and Drax devised a plan to distract the ogres while they planned their attack. The second ally that Gryph called upon was a powerful sorceress named Selene. Selene was known for her incredible magical powers and her ability to see into the future. She used her powers to predict the movements of the ogres and help Gryph and Drax plan their attack. The third ally that Gryph called upon was a group of centaurs. The centaurs were known for their speed and their ability to fire arrows with incredible accuracy. They worked with Gryph and Drax to create traps and obstacles that would slow down the ogres. Finally, Gryph and his allies were ready to attack. Drax unleashed a fiery breath that sent the ogres into disarray, while Selene used her magic to create illusions that made the ogres think that they were under attack from all sides. The centaurs fired arrows from a distance, picking off the ogres one by one. Meanwhile, Gryph swooped down from the sky, using his razor-sharp talons and powerful wings to attack the ogres. The battle was long and fierce, with both sides taking heavy casualties, but Gryph and his friends were determined to win. Finally, after many hours of fighting, the ogre army was defeated, and the land was free once again. Gryph and his allies and friends were hailed as heroes, and the other animals in the land celebrated their bravery and courage. From that day on, Gryph and his allies continued to protect their homeland from any threats that came their way. They knew that they had a duty to keep their land safe and free from harm, and they were always ready to face any challenge that came their way. The moral of this story is that sometimes it takes more than one person to achieve a goal. By working together and using their unique strengths and abilities, Gryph and his allies were able to defeat the ogres and free their land. We should always be willing to work together and help each other in times of need. As the sun began to rise over the small village where Hanzo lived, the soft light illuminated the lush greenery and vibrant colors that surrounded him. Hanzo lived in a modest wooden house on the outskirts of the village, nestled amidst a grove of tall trees. His home was simple but well maintained, with wooden shingles that lined the roof and a small porch where he would often sit and contemplate the world around him. Beyond the village, the landscape was dotted with fields of rice paddies and small clusters of houses. The fields were lush and green, and the air was often thick with the scent of wet earth and fresh vegetation. In the distance, Hanzo could see the towering peaks of the mountains, their jagged peaks reaching up to the sky. Despite the beauty that surrounded him, Hanzo knew the danger lurked in every corner. As a skilled ninja, he was trained to be constantly aware of his surroundings and to be prepared for any situation that might arise. It was this awareness that had led him to accept the dangerous mission of stealing the sacred scroll from the dragon's lair. The scroll that Hanzo was tasked with stealing was a revered artifact that had been passed down through generations of emperors. It held the secrets of the universe, the knowledge of the ancient sages, and the teaching of the wisest man who had ever lived. It was said that whoever possessed the scroll would have access to unparalleled wisdom and power. Hanzo knew that the scroll was a powerful tool, and that its knowledge could be used for both good and evil. He was determined to complete his mission and bring back the scroll to the Emperor, but he was also aware of the risks involved. The dragon that guarded the scroll was known to be a fearsome creature with razor-sharp claws and a breath of fire that could incinerate anything in its path. As Hanzo made his way through the mountain pass, he was struck by the beauty of his surroundings. The mountains towered above him, their rocky faces weathered and worn by centuries of wind and rain. The air was crisp and clean, and the sun shone down on the landscape, casting long shadows that stretched out before him. As he climbed higher up the mountain, Hanzo's heart began to race. He knew that the dragon was close, and that the danger was imminent. His senses were on high alert, and every muscle in his body was tensed and ready to fight. Finally, he arrived at the entrance to the dragon's lair. The cave was dark and foreboding, with jagged rocks jutting out from the walls and a foul smell that wafted out from within. Hanzo took a deep breath and stepped inside, his hand tightly gripping the hilt of his sword. The inside of the cave was even more terrifying than Hanzo had anticipated. The walls were covered in shimmering crystals that glinted in the dim light, casting eerie shadows across the floor. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur, and Hanzo could hear the faint sound of the dragon's breathing echoing through the cavern. As he crept deeper and deeper into the cave, Hanzo could feel the dragon's presence growing stronger. His heart was pounding in his chest, and his palms were slick with sweat, but he was determined to complete his mission and retrieve the sacred scroll. Finally, he reached the chamber where the dragon was sleeping. The creature was massive, with gleaming scales that shone like diamonds in the dim light. Its eyes were closed, but Hanzo could see its chest rising and falling with each deep breath. With great care, Hanzo crept forward and began to reach for the scroll. Just as his fingers brushed against the parchment, the dragon's eyes snapped open. Its massive head turned towards Hanzo, and a deep rumble emanated from its throat. Hanzo froze, his heart racing as he prepared for a fight. The dragon rose to its feet, towering over Hanzo like a mountain. Its eyes gleamed with a fierce intelligence, and Hanzo could feel the heat of its breath washing over him. He braced himself, ready to fight for his life. But the dragon surprised him. Instead of attacking, it spoke to him, its voice deep and resonant. "Why have you come to my lair, ninja?" it asked. Hanzo took a deep breath in, his mind racing as he considered his response. He knew that he could not lie to the dragon, but he also knew that he could not reveal the true nature of his mission. "I have come seeking knowledge," he said, his voice steady. "I have heard that there are ancient scrolls here that contain secrets beyond measure. I seek only to learn." The dragon regarded him for a moment, its eyes piercing through Hanzo's defenses. But then, to Hanzo's surprise, it nodded its massive head. "Very well," it said. "I will allow you to take one of the scrolls, but you must choose wisely, for they contain knowledge that can be both powerful and dangerous." Hanzo nodded, his heart racing as he scanned the shelves of scrolls. He knew that he had to choose carefully, for the fate of his mission rested on the knowledge that he would gain from this scroll. Finally, he saw a scroll that caught his eye. It was ancient and weathered, with delicate calligraphy that danced across the surface. Hanzo could feel the power emanating from it, and he knew that this was the scroll that he had been sent to retrieve. With trembling hands, he reached out and took the scroll from its place on the shelf. The dragon watched him intently, its eyes never leaving him as he carefully wrapped the parchment and placed it in his pack. As he turned to leave, the dragon spoke once more. "Remember, ninja, knowledge is power, but it can also be dangerous. Use it wisely or suffer the consequences." With those words ringing in his ears, Hanzo made his way out of the dragon's lair and began the long journey back to the Emperor's palace. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months as Hanzo traveled across the land. He faced many dangers and challenges, but he was determined to complete his mission and bring the scroll back to the Emperor. Finally, he arrived at the palace gates, his heart racing with anticipation. The guards welcomed him with open arms, and he was led to the throne room where the Emperor was waiting. With great reverence, Hanzo presented the scroll to the Emperor. The room fell silent as the Emperor unrolled the parchment and began to read the ancient calligraphy. As he read, his eyes widened in amazement. Hanzo could see the wisdom and power contained within the scroll radiating from the Emperor's eyes. And then, as the Emperor finished reading, he turned to Hanzo with a smile. "You have done well, Hanzo," he said. "You have brought us the knowledge that we need to lead our people into a bright and prosperous future." Hanzo bowed deeply, his heart filled with pride and satisfaction. He knew that he had completed his mission, and that he had done so with honor and bravery. And from that day forward, Hanzo was known as a hero throughout the land. His name was spoken with reverence and respect, as he was often called upon to undertake other dangerous missions on behalf of the Emperor. However, Hanzo never forgot the dragon's warning about the dangers of knowledge. He knew that the power contained within the scroll could be used for good or for evil, depending on how it was wielded. And so, he devoted himself to studying the scrolls and unlocking its secrets and learning its lessons. He shared his knowledge with the people of the land, using it to help them live better and more fulfilling lives. But he also remained vigilant, always aware of the potential for misuse of the knowledge contained within the scroll. He knew that with great power came great responsibilities, and he took that responsibility very seriously. Years passed, and Hanzo grew old. He watched as the world changed around him, as new generations rose up to take his place. But he never lost sight of the lessons he had learned on his journey, and he continued to share his wisdom with all who would listen. The moral of the story is that knowledge is a powerful tool, but it must be wielded with great care and responsibility. The pursuit of knowledge is a noble endeavor, but it is important to remember that with great power also comes great responsibility. We must always strive to use our knowledge for good and to help those around us live better and more fulfilling lives. And we must always remain vigilant, aware of the potential for misuse and abuse of the knowledge that we possess. Only in this way can we truly make the world a better place for all. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Jake who lived in a small village. Jake was unlike any other child in the village, for he had a great passion for rockets. He would spend hours building model rockets and imagining himself soaring into the sky, exploring new planets, and discovering the mysteries of the universe. One day, Jake learned about a rocket competition that was being held in the big city. It was a contest for young inventors to showcase their most innovative and exciting rocket designs. Jake was determined to enter the competition and win. He worked tirelessly on his rocket, putting all his heart and soul into its design. This time, instead of building a traditional rocket, he decided to create something unique. He designed a sort of hybrid rocket that could both soar into the sky like a traditional rocket and also dive into the ocean like a submarine. Finally, the day of the competition arrived, and Jake set off for the city with his prized creation. When he arrived, he was once again awestruck by the size and grandeur of the competition. But he didn't let that discourage him. He was confident in his creation and stepped forward to present it to the judges. To his delight, Jake's hybrid rocket won first prize, and it was the most innovative and exciting rocket at the competition, and the judges were amazed by Jake's creativity and imagination. Jake returned to the village a hero, and the people were eager to hear about his adventure. He told them about the rocket competition and the exciting things he had seen and learned. From that day on, Jake was known as the boy who loved rockets, and he inspired countless others to follow in his scientific footsteps and pursue their passions. And so, as the stars twinkled in the sky and the moon shone bright, Jake drifted off to sleep, dreaming of his next journey into the cosmos and beyond. The end. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Johnny who had a passion for racing and a dream of becoming a famous race car driver, just like the ones he saw on TV. Johnny's father was a big fan of motorsports, and they often watched races together on TV. Johnny would sit on his father's lap and watch in awe as the driver zoomed around the track. His father could see how much Johnny loved race cars and encouraged him to follow his dreams. One night, Johnny went to bed with his favorite race car themed pillow, dreaming of the day when he would be behind the wheel of his very own race car. As he drifted off to sleep, he suddenly found himself transported to a racetrack just like the ones he'd seen on TV. In his dream, Johnny was at the starting line of a high-speed race. The air was filled with the sweet aroma of burning rubber and gasoline mixed with the excitement of the spectators. The sound of the engines revving echoed in his ears, and he felt the thrill of anticipation in the pit of his stomach. As the race began, Johnny was behind the wheel of his sleek and shiny red race car. He was focused, determined, and confident. He pushed the pedal to the metal, and he felt the speed and power of the car as it roared down the track. The wind whipped through his hair, and he could feel the heat from the engine and the rush of adrenaline through his veins. As he navigated the twists and turns of the track, Johnny felt completely in control. He was focused on the road ahead, dodging other cars and taking corners with ease. The roar of the engine was music to his ears, and the cheering of the crowd was like a symphony in his heart. Johnny dreamed that someday his father would be able to watch him on TV racing around the track and winning races, and to be proud of him. As the race came to an end, Johnny crossed the finish line first. Winning the race and hearing the roar of the crowd, he woke up in his race car style bed with a huge smile on his face, hugging his race car themed pillow tightly. The moral of Johnny's story is that dreams can come true if you work hard, never give up, and always believe in yourself. Just like Johnny, you too can achieve anything you set your mind to. So sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in a land of rolling hills and sparkling lakes, there lived a young king named Maximus. He was known throughout the kingdom for his kind heart and quick mind, and his people loved him deeply. However, Maximus's peaceful reign was threatened when an evil ogre king named Zogar launched an attack on the kingdom. Zogar was determined to rule over all the lands, and he had sent his army of brutish ogres to conquer Maximus's kingdom. Maximus bravely led his men into battle against Zogar's forces, but they were no match for the Ogre King's superior strength. Maximus was forced to flee into the wilderness, taking on the mantle of an outlaw in order to gather his strength and regroup. As he traveled the land, Maximus gathered a group of loyal followers who believed in his cause. Together they plotted their revenge against Zogar, striking at his forces and sabotaging his plans. Maximus' reputation as the outlaw king spread far and wide, and his people began to look to him as a symbol of hope. They whispered his name in hushed tones, speaking of his bravery and cunning as they waited for him to reclaim their land. And one day, Maximus and his army launched a massive attack on Zogar's stronghold. They fought with all their might, finally defeating the Ogre King and freeing the kingdom from his grip. Maximus was hailed as a hero and a liberator, and his people honored him as the Outlaw King, a brave warrior who never gave up in the face of adversity. From that day on, the kingdom was at peace, and Maximus ruled with wisdom and kindness, beloved by all. The story of the Outlaw King teaches us that even in the darkest of times, it is important to never give up on our dreams and to always stand up for what is right, no matter how difficult the odds may seem. With courage, determination, and the support of those who believe in us, we can overcome any obstacle and achieve great things. So remember that you are never too small to make a big difference. and that with hard work and persistence, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. And now, as you drift off to sleep, know that you have the strength and bravery to be a hero, just like the Outlaw King Maximus. Good night. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Lily who lived in a world where everything felt gray and dull. However, she had a special connection with the violin, and every time she played it, she felt like she was transported to a magical world full of wonder and adventure. Lily's great-grandmother was a talented violinist and had passed down her precious violin to Lily. From the moment Lily first picked up the instrument, she felt like she had found her true calling. She practiced every day, and her love for the violin grew stronger with each passing day. She dreamed of playing in a famous orchestra where she could share her passion with others and bring joy to people's lives through music. The violin allowed Lily to escape the stress of the world around her. Every time she played, she felt like she was transported to a place of peace and serenity. The violin allowed her to express herself in a way that words never could, and for that, she was grateful. At the end of every practice session, Lily hugged her great mother's violin and went to bed, already looking forward to tomorrow's practice. She knew that the road to becoming a renowned musician was long, but she was ready for the journey. So one night, as Lily drifted off to sleep, she was transported back to the concert hall of her dreams. She was surrounded by a crowd of people. All of them were there to hear her play. The music started, and Lily closed her eyes and let her bow glide across the strings of her violin. The sound was magical, and she felt like she was soaring through the skies, free and alive. The moral of Lily's story is that if you believe in yourself and work hard, you can turn your dreams into a reality. The world is full of wonder and adventure, and all it takes is just a little bit of courage and determination to find it. So close your eyes and let the music take you away. Your dreams are waiting for you. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Max and his furry best friend named Buddy. Buddy was a plucky little pup with a wagging tail and a heart of gold. He was always by Max's side, ready for adventure and always eager to please. Max and Buddy were the best of friends, and they did everything together. They would run through the fields, play in the park, and even have picnics on sunny days. They were each other's constant companion, and they loved each other deeply. One day, Max and Buddy decided to go on a big adventure. They packed their bags and set off into the forest. It was a bright and beautiful day, and they were filled with excitement as they explored the new territory. However, as they delved deeper into the forest, they came across a problem. They stumbled upon a deep and fast-flowing river. Max wanted to cross it, but Buddy was too scared. He had never been good at swimming, and the thought of being swept away filled him with terror. Max, being the clever boy he was, came up with a solution. He found a big stick and used it to help Buddy cross the river. Buddy clung tightly to the stick, and Max guided him safely across. When they reached the other side, Buddy was overjoyed and so grateful to Max for helping him. From that day on, Buddy wasn't afraid of water anymore. He learned that with a little help from his best friend, he could overcome anything. Max and Buddy continued on their adventure, exploring new land and facing new challenges together. They were always there for each other, no matter what. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Alexander and his dog Max. Alexander was a curious and adventurous young boy, always eager to explore and learn about the world around him. Max was Alexander's faithful companion, always by his side and eager for adventure. One day, as Alexander and Max were playing in the park, they stumbled upon a mysterious portal that led to a fantastical world. Without hesitation, Alexander and Max jumped in, eager to explore the unknown. As they journeyed through this new world, they encountered all sorts of strange and wondrous creatures, each with their own story to tell. They climbed mountains so high they touched the clouds, and they explored forests so dense they couldn't see the sky. Along the way, Alexander learned about the importance of bravery, the value of friendship, and the power of determination. And Max, with his sharp senses and unwavering loyalty, proved to be a faithful companion and protector. Their adventures in the fantastical world continued as they came across a shimmering lake. The lake was surrounded by towering trees and was so still and clear that it looked like a mirror. As they approached the lake, a magnificent sea serpent emerged from the depths and led them to a small island in the middle of the lake. On the island, they found a hidden treasure trove guarded by a fierce dragon, which they defeated with their bravery and cunning. The serpent thanked Alexander and Max for their bravery and gave them a special gift, a magical compass that would always lead them to their next adventure. This experience taught them about courage and perseverance, and the importance of friendship and having a trustworthy companion by your side. And so Alexander and Max continued on their fantastical adventures, exploring new and wondrous places and learning valuable lessons along the way. And as you close your eyes and drift off to sleep, may you too be whisked away on a fantastical adventure filled with bravery, friendship, and determination. Sweet dreams. Hello everyone, and welcome to the second installment of the adventures of Alexander and his faithful dog Max. I hope you enjoy. Alexander and his faithful dog Max found themselves seeking a new adventure after their last quest to the fantastical world. They remembered the magical portal they had stumbled upon in the park and decided to return to it to see where it would lead them this time. As they stepped through the portal, they found themselves in a lush tropical jungle filled with exotic plants, vibrant flowers, and strange, wondrous creatures they had never seen before. They had made their way deeper into the jungle, the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves guiding them forward. As they continued their journey, they encountered a group of friendly monkeys who offered to show them the way to a hidden temple deep in the heart of the jungle. Alexander and Max were overjoyed and followed the monkeys through the jungle, marveling at the towering trees and babbling streams they passed along the way. As they approached the temple, they could see that it was covered in intricate carvings and surrounded by a moat filled with mysterious glowing creatures. The monkeys led them to a secret entrance, and Alexander and Max made their way inside. As they explored the temple, they found that it was filled with ancient artifacts and mysterious runes, but their curiosity was soon interrupted by a loud rumbling that echoed throughout the temple. They followed the noise to a large chamber where they saw a massive, ferocious tiger, menacing and fierce, blocking their path. Alexander bravely stepped forward to face the ferocious tiger, and Max stood by his side, growling and baring his teeth, ready to fight and protect Alexander. The tiger was quick and powerful, but Alexander was cunning and relentless. The two battled ferociously, dodging and weaving, striking and counter-striking, and Max right alongside Alexander, fighting for their lives against the tiger. In the end, Alexander emerged victorious, having defeated the ferocious tiger with a swift and decisive blow. The temple trembled and the ground shook as the tiger fell to the ground defeated. Alexander and Max collected their reward for defeating the tiger. It was an old treasure map. The map showed the location of a hidden treasure, but the journey would not be easy. The map was filled with clues and coded puzzles that they would have to solve to find the treasure. Alexander and Max were excited to start their next adventure. They had fallen in love with this new land and were eager to explore more of it. They knew that the journey would be long and filled with danger, but they were both up and ready for the challenge. Alexander and Max's journey through the jungle temple taught them about the power of perseverance and the strength of friendship. It showed them that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, they could rise to the occasion and emerge victorious. And it also showed them the importance of staying true to themselves and never giving up on their dreams. So sweet dreams, and may your dreams take you on fantastical adventures filled with bravery, perseverance, and friendship. Hello, and welcome to the third installment of the adventures of Alexander and his loyal dog Max. Hope you enjoy. Alexander and his loyal dog Max were on a quest to uncover the secrets of an ancient treasure map. The map was acquired after their previous adventure, where they defeated a ferocious temple tiger that guarded a temple filled with riches. They had no idea what kind of adventure this treasure hunt would take them on, but they were determined to unlock its secrets. In this journey, it took them through a lush countryside filled with mystical creatures and birds. As they followed the map, they encountered a magnificent rock giant named Terax. Terax was unable to move because an evil sorceress named Morgath had stolen the heart stone of his mountain, which was the source of his power and life. Without it, he was powerless and unable to protect the surrounding countryside from Morgath's evil plans. Alexander and Max knew they had to help, so they set out on a mission to retrieve the Heartstone and return it to Terax. As they approached Morgath's fortress, the once vibrant countryside became dark and desolate, reflecting the great evil that lay within. The two friends worked together to devise a plan to overcome Morgath's minions and retrieve the Heartstone. Max used his agility and quick thinking to distract the minions, while Alexander relied on his cunning and bravery to get through the traps and obstacles. They finally reached the Heartstone, but Morgath was waiting for them. Morgath was determined to keep the Heartstone for herself and increase her power. The sorceress had been envious of Terax's power for many years and saw the Heartstone as an opportunity to overthrow him. Fierce battle ensued as Morgath used her dark magic to try and defeat Alexander and Max. However, Alexander and Max had the power of friendship on their side, and they fought as a team. Max used his strength and courage to protect Alexander while he gathered the Heartstone. Alexander was determined to defeat Morgath and return the Heartstone to Terax. The battle was intense and lasted for what felt like hours, but Alexander and Max never gave up. With each attack, Alexander grew stronger and Max grew braver. In the end, Alexander delivered the final blow to Morgath and retrieved the Heartstone. Terax was overjoyed to have his power restored, and he was grateful for Alexander and Max's bravery. In return, Terax revealed a key detail about the treasure map written in his ancient language. This would help Alexander and Max unlock the secrets of the map and continue their journey. The journey back from Terax's mountain was filled with joy and laughter as Alexander and Max recounted out their plan for the next adventure. The scenery of the countryside was once again vibrant with life, and the creatures of the forest came out to greet them. Alexander and Max were filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment, knowing that they had made a difference in the world. The key elements of this story are bravery, determination, teamwork, and friendship. Alexander and Max exemplify these qualities as they work together to overcome obstacles and achieve their goals. The story also highlights the importance of using one's strengths and working as a team. The moral of the story is to have the courage and persistence to pursue our dreams and never give up, even when faced with adversity. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Mia who lived in a small town with her mother, who was a famous painter. Mia was fascinated by her mother's art, the way her mother could create such beautiful and imaginative images on canvas, and she dreamed of one day becoming a famous painter herself. One night, as she drifted off to sleep, Mia found herself transported to a fantastical dream world, where she was suddenly set on an incredible adventure. She was walking down a path in a lush, colorful forest when she stumbled upon a mysterious paintbrush. The paintbrush was like nothing she'd ever seen before, with bristles made of glittering stardust and a handle of gold. Mia knew that this was her chance to fulfill her dream of becoming a painter. She quickly set off on her journey, exploring the forest and capturing all the wonders of the world with her paintbrush. She painted rolling hills dotted with flowers, soaring mountains covered in mist, and glittering lakes that reflected the stars above. As she traveled deeper into the forest, Mia encountered all sorts of magical creatures and obstacles, but she never lost her creativity or her passion for painting. She used her brush to capture their beauty and essence, and soon her canvas was filled with a stunning array of colors and shapes. Finally, after many hours of wandering, Mia found herself standing before a magnificent castle, its towers reaching towards the sky. She knew that this was the place where her journey would come to an end, and she was filled with a sense of excitement and anticipation. With a deep breath, Mia stepped into the castle and made her way to the throne room. There, she found the source of the castle's magic, a powerful genie who granted the wishes of artists and painters who had journeyed to the castle. With a bow, Mia presented her canvas to the genie, and the genie was so impressed by the beauty of her art that he granted her wish to become a famous painter like her mother. And with that, Mia woke up, back in her own bed, but with a newfound sense of inspiration and confidence. She knew that with hard work and determination, she could fulfill her dream of becoming a famous painter, just like her mother. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Miguel who loved spending time with his grandfather, whom he affectionately called Abuelo. Abuelo was a wise and adventurous man who had traveled all over the world and had many stories to share. One summer evening, Miguel was feeling restless and couldn't sleep. He went into his Abuelo's room and asked him to tell him a story. Abuelo smiled and said, "I have a special story for you tonight, one that I've never told anyone before." Miguel's eyes widened with excitement as Abuelo began his tale. "Once, when I was a young man, I set out on a journey to find a rare treasure deep in the heart of the jungle. I traveled for many days, battling fierce beasts and crossing treacherous rivers until I finally reached the cave where the treasure was said to be hidden. As I entered the cave, I saw a glimmering light coming from the other end. I followed the light and found myself in a large chamber filled with gold and jewels. I was overjoyed and began to fill my bag with as much treasure as I could carry. But just as I was about to leave, I heard a voice calling out to me. It was an old man, the guardian of the treasure. He said to me, "Young man, I see that you have come seeking riches, but remember that the true wealth is not found in material possessions. It is found in the love of family and friends, and in the beauty of nature, and in the kindness you show to others." Well, his words struck a chord with me, and I realized that he was right. So I left the treasure behind and returned home, where I found joy and happiness in the simple things in life. Well, Miguel listened intently to Abuelo's story and asked him, "What happened to the old man?" Abuelo smiled and said, "I never saw him again, but his words stayed with me for the rest of my life, and now I pass them on to you, my dear grandson. Remember that the true value of life is not what we have, but in who we are and how we treat others." With that, Miguel closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, comforted by Abuelo's wise words. The moral of the story is that material possessions do not bring lasting happiness. True wealth lies in the love of family and friends, and in the beauty of nature, and in the kindness that we show to others. Good night and sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the heart of the forest, there lived a brave little mouse named Milo. Milo was tiny compared to the other mice in the village, but he had a heart of a lion and a will of steel. Milo lived with his family in a cozy little burrow under the roots of a large tree, along with his many friends who were also mice. One day, a dangerous predator came into the village, a fierce and hungry cat named Claw. The villagers were scared and didn't know what to do. Claw had already caught several mice and was looking for more to eat. The elders of the village called a meeting to discuss the situation, and it was decided that they would ask the bravest mouse in the village to stand up to Claw and try to scare him off. Well, Milo knew he was the bravest mouse in the village, but he also knew he was small compared to Claw. But he knew he had to face his fears and do what's best for his family and friends, so he stepped forward and volunteered to confront Claw. Milo spent the next few days preparing for a showdown with Claw. He practiced his moves and sharpened his wits, determined to save his fellow mice from Claw's clutches. Finally, the day arrived and Milo marched boldly towards Claw, who was lazily dozing in the sun. As soon as Claw saw Milo, he stood up and prepared to pounce. But Milo did not back down. Instead, he faced Claw and said in a voice that trembled with fear, but also with determination, "You may be big, but I am brave, and I will not let you hurt my family and friends." Claw was surprised to see such courage in such a small mouse, and decided to give him a chance to prove himself. He challenged Milo to a game of wits, saying that if Milo could answer 3 riddles, he would let the mice go unharmed. Milo accepted the challenge and took a deep breath, determined to do his best. Claw asked his first riddle. "I am not alive, but I grow. I do not have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I?" Milo thought hard and then answered confidently. Milo said, "Fire." Claw was impressed, but he wasn't going to make it easy for Milo. He asked his second riddle. "I am light as a feather, yet the strongest man cannot hold me for much more than a minute. What am I?" Milo thought hard once again, and then said, "Breath." Claw was even more impressed, but he had one last riddle. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Milo thought hard for a moment, and then smiled as he gave his final answer. Footsteps. Claw was defeated, and true to his word, he let the mice go unharmed. The villagers cheered as Milo returned to his family and friends, who embraced him in gratitude. From that day forward, Milo was known as the bravest mouse in the village, and he had earned the respect and admiration for all his fellow mice. Claw never returned to the village again, and the mice lived happily ever after, safe from harm, thanks to the bravery of one little mouse. Once upon a time, in the land of Aradia, there lived a young boy named Orion. Orion was a brave, curious little boy full of wonder, and he loved nothing more than exploring the vast and beautiful kingdom of Aradia. One day, while wandering in the forest, Orion stumbled upon a dragon egg that was hidden amongst the trees. The egg was a vibrant shade of emerald green, and Orion felt an instant connection to it. Well, days passed, and the egg finally hatched, revealing a magnificent dragon that he named Ember. Ember was fierce, loyal, and filled with a deep sense of magic, and she quickly formed a bond with Orion. Together, Orion and Ember set out on a journey to become Dragon Riders, a group of individuals chosen by the dragons to protect the kingdom of Aradia from the forces of evil that threatened it. As they trained and grew stronger, Orion and Ember learned of a powerful and evil sorcerer known as the Shadow Lord, who sought to conquer Aradia and enslave its people. Elder Thorn, the wise and knowledgeable mentor of the Dragon Riders, warned Orion and Ember of the Shadow Lord's evil plan and tasked them with stopping him. Along the way, Orion and Ember met new friends, including a fierce warrior named Alara and a clever, resourceful wizard named Gaia. Together, the four of them braved countless obstacles and battles to gather information about the Shadow Lord's plans. They discovered that the Shadow Lord was planning to unleash a powerful spell that would plunge Aradia into eternal darkness and enslave its people. The group knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to stop him. Orion and his friends devised a daring plan to infiltrate the Shadow Lord's lair and destroy the spell. They journeyed deep into the heart of enemy territory, braving countless dangers along the way. When finally they reached the Shadow Lord's lair, a fierce battle erupted. Orion and his friends fought bravely, using their dragon riding skills and their combined magic to defeat the Shadow Lord and destroy the spell. With the Shadow Lord defeated and the spell destroyed, Arcadia was safe once again. Orion and his friends were hailed as heroes, and their bravery and determination became a legend that inspired future generations of Dragon Riders. The end. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled deep in the Andean mountains, there lived a boy named Roberto. Roberto was known throughout the village for his boundless energy and infectious spirit. From a young age, Roberto was fascinated by the world around him, and he spent most of his days exploring the rugged landscape that surrounds his home. As Roberto grew older, he developed a deep passion for music. He spent countless hours teaching himself how to play the guitar, and before long, his talent had caught the attention of the entire village. Roberto quickly became a beloved figure in the community, playing at weddings, festivals, and other celebrations. One day, a group of bandits arrived in the village, threatening to harm the residents unless they handed over all their valuables. The villagers were frightened and unsure of what to do, but Roberto knew that he couldn't let the bandits bully his home. With his guitar in hand, Roberto strolled boldly up to the bandits, his fingers already moving to strum out a tune. The bandits sneered and laughed, dismissing Roberto's musical abilities as useless. But as Roberto began to play, something incredible happened. The music that flowed from Roberto's guitar was like nothing the bandits had ever heard before. It was as if the notes themselves had come alive, wrapping around the bandits and enthralling them. The men were transfixed, unable to move or even speak. They stood there rooted to the spot as Roberto continued to play. As the music continued, the bandits began to change. Their expressions softened, and their anger melted away. By the time Roberto finished playing, the men had become completely different people. They apologized profusely for their actions and offered to help the villagers in any way they could. From that day on, Roberto became a legend in the village. His music was said to possess incredible powers, able to calm even the most violent of souls. Whenever there was trouble, the villagers would turn to Roberto, knowing that he had the power to make things right. And so, Roberto lived out the rest of his days, playing his guitar and spreading joy wherever he went. He became a hero to the people of his village, and his legend lived on long after he was gone. To this day, travelers passing through the Andean mountains will often hear the faint strains of Roberto's music echoing through the valleys, a reminder of the incredible power of one boy's love for music. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a small, fluffy rabbit named Thumper. Thumper loved to hop around the forest, nibbling on clover and playing with his animal friends. One day, while Thumper was out foraging for food, he suddenly heard a rustling in the bushes. Thumper immediately knew what it was. It was the sly and cunning fox named Rusty. Rusty had been hunting Thumper for weeks, and every time he came close to catching him, Thumper would just dash away to safety. But this time, Thumper had nowhere to run. As Rusty stepped out from behind the bushes, Thumper felt a wave of fear wash over him. He knew that Rusty could easily catch him now, and he braced himself for the worst. But, to Thumper's surprise, Rusty did not pounce. Instead, he sat down and spoke softly to Thumper. He said, "I don't want to hurt you, Thumper. I know I've been chasing you for a while, but I just want to be your friend." Thumper was skeptical at first, but something in Rusty's tone made him feel at ease. They talked for a long time, and Rusty shared his story with Thumper. He told him about how he had been orphaned at a young age, and he had to fend for himself in the forest. Thumper could see the sadness in Rusty's eyes, and he realized that maybe, just maybe, there was more to this sly fox than just his hunting instincts. Over the next few weeks, Thumper and Rusty became unlikely friends. They would play games together and explore the forest, always watching each other's backs. Thumper taught Rusty how to forage for food, and Rusty showed Thumper how to run faster and jump higher. Their friendship was not without its challenges, though. Other animals in the forest would look at them with suspicion, and some even tried to break up their friendship, but Thumper and Rusty became steadfast in their loyalty to each other, knowing that their friendship was stronger than any outside force. One day, Thumper and Rusty were out exploring, and they came across a hunter's trap. Thumper immediately knew that it was meant for him, and he felt a pang of fear. But Rusty stepped forward, using his quick wits to disarm the trap and free Thumper. From that moment on, Thumper knew that Rusty had his back, and he felt grateful for their unlikely friendship. He realized that sometimes the animals that we think are our enemies can become our greatest allies. As they settled down to sleep that night, Thumper looked up at the stars and thought about all the adventures he had shared with Rusty. He knew that their friendship was rare and precious, and he felt lucky to have found such a loyal and true friend in the most unexpected of places. And as the night passed, Thumper drifted off to sleep, dreaming of all the adventures he and Rusty would have in the days to come. The moral of this story is that sometimes the people we least expect can become our greatest friends. It's important to keep an open mind and heart and to give others a chance to show us who they really are. True friendship is built on trust, loyalty, and understanding, and it's something that we should always cherish and nurture. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Sam who loved his stuffed animal, a small bear named Benny. Benny was Sam's best friend, and they did everything together. They went on adventures around the house, played games, and even slept together. One night, as Sam was sleeping, he dreamed of an incredible adventure. In his dream, he and Benny found themselves in a magical forest filled with talking animals and bright colors. The trees sparkled like diamonds, and the flowers glowed in the dark. As they explored the forest, they met a friendly fox who told them about an evil witch who had stolen the sun. The witch had hidden it in a tower on the other side of the forest, and without it, the world would be plunged into darkness forever. Sam and Benny knew they had to help, so they set out on a daring mission to find the tower and retrieve the sun. Along the way, they faced many challenges, including a treacherous river, a maze of thorns, and a pack of angry wolves. But Sam and Benny were brave and resourceful. They worked together to overcome each obstacle, and before long, they found themselves standing before the tower where the sun was hidden. The tower was guarded by a fierce dragon, but Sam and Benny were not afraid. They had a plan, and they put it into action. While Benny distracted the dragon with a dance, Sam snuck past and retrieved the sun. With the sun back in the sky, the forest burst into color, and the animals sang with joy. The evil witch disappeared, and the world was saved from darkness. As Sam woke up from his dream, he realized that anything was possible in his imagination. He hugged Benny tightly, grateful for their adventure and the bond they shared. He knew that no matter what happened, they would always be there for each other, ready for their next fantastic adventure. The moral of the story is that imagination and friendship can take us on incredible adventures. With a little bit of bravery and a lot of determination, we can overcome any obstacle and make the world a brighter and better place. So never stop dreaming, and never forget the power of friendship. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Sarah who was always afraid of thunderstorms. Whenever the sky darkened and the thunder rumbled, she would hide under her covers and clutch her trusty stuffed teddy bear named Braveheart for comfort. Despite her mother's reassurances that the storms couldn't hurt her, Sarah was still scared of the loud noises and the flashing lights. One particularly stormy night, as Sarah drifted off to sleep, she found herself in a dream. In her dream, she and her stuffed teddy bear Braveheart were no longer afraid of the storm, but instead were embracing it. They stood in an open field as the rain poured down, the wind howled, and the lightning lit up the sky. Despite the chaos around them, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her. She reached out her hand, and Braveheart took it, and together They ran into the storm. The rain soaked their clothes, but they didn't mind. They twirled and danced in the rain, feeling the cool droplets on their skin. As they danced, the lightning struck, illuminating the field with a bright flash of light. But instead of being scared, Sarah was in awe of the beauty of the storm. She and Braveheart continued to dance, and as they did, the thunder rumbled louder and louder. But instead of being afraid, Sarah felt empowered by the sound. She lifted her arms to the sky, feeling the energy of the storm coursing through her veins. And in that moment, she knew that she was brave, and that she was no longer afraid of the thunderstorms. When Sarah woke up, she was filled with a newfound confidence. She realized that her dream had shown her that she could be brave and that there was nothing to be afraid of. With Braveheart by her side, she walked to the window to watch the storm. And as she stood there, she felt a sense of peace wash over her once again. The moral of Sarah's story is that sometimes we need to face our fears in order to overcome them. By embracing the storm and facing her fear head on, Sarah was able to find the bravery that was always within her. So, if you're ever feeling scared, just remember Sarah and Braveheart, and know that you too can be brave. Good night. Once upon a time, there was a young space cadet named Zane, who lived in a world filled with wonders and mysteries beyond our imagination. He dreamed of becoming a hero, just like his father, who was a legendary space explorer. One day, Zane received a distress signal from a planet that was in peril. It said that the planet was on the brink of destruction due to an evil scientist named Dr. Vex, who had developed a superweapon that harnessed the power of black holes. The superweapon was so powerful that it could easily destroy entire galaxies. And Dr. Vex had set his sights on this planet as his next target. Zane took off in his spacecraft, determined to save the planet and its inhabitants. As he journeyed through space, he marveled at the sights he saw. The stars and galaxies, each more beautiful than the last. He finally arrived at the planet and was awestruck by its beauty. The planet was surrounded by lush forests, and the sky was dotted with stars and twinkling lights. As Zane landed, he met the inhabitants of the planet, the Lumites, a peaceful and kind species who were the guardians of their own world. They were shocked to see a stranger from another world, but Zane quickly earned their trust. He learned of Dr. Vex's plan and knew that he had to stop him before it was too late. Zane set out to find Dr. Vex and his superweapon, braving dangerous obstacles and facing it off against his minions. Along the way, he discovered the superweapon was actually a massive spaceship that could suck up entire planets, and Dr. Vex was using it to conquer the universe. Finally, Zane reached Dr. Vex and his superweapon. In a heated battle, Zane managed to destroy the spaceship and save the planet. The Lumites were overjoyed and grateful to Zane for saving their world, and as a token of their appreciation, they gave him a special gift, a crystal that glowed with the light of all the stars in the sky. Zane returned home a hero, and the tale of his bravery spread across the universe. The lesson he learned from his adventure was that true bravery comes from within, and that anyone can be a hero if they believe themselves and their abilities. The crystal he received as a gift served as a constant reminder of the incredible journey he had been on, and the worlds he had saved. And so, as you lay down to sleep tonight, I want you to remember this story. Remember that just like Zane, you too have the bravery and courage within you to make a difference. You never know what kind of impact you can have on the world, just like Zane, who ended up saving an entire planet. So always be on the lookout for opportunities to make a positive difference, and never be afraid to be the hero of your own story. Good night and sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in the magical kingdom of Eldor, there lived a king named King Regulus. King Regulus was kind, just, and loved by all of the creatures in Eldor, both great and small. One day, King Regulus received a message from the unicorns of Eldor, asking for his help. The unicorns told King Regulus that a fierce monster had appeared in the forest, scaring the animals and destroying their homes. King Regulus knew that he had to act fast if he wanted to protect the creatures of Eldor. So he gathered his bravest and most loyal soldiers and set out to face the monster. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, King Regulus and his soldiers encountered many obstacles, but they pressed on, determined to protect their kingdom. Finally, they reached the monster's lair and engaged in a fierce battle. King Regulus fought bravely, using his magic to deflect the monster's blows, but it was a fierce and cunning opponent, and it seemed as though that they might lose the fight. Just when all seemed lost, a beautiful unicorn appeared, its coat shimmering in the moonlight. The unicorn's name was Luna, and she was the bravest and most powerful of all the unicorns in Eldor. With Luna's help, King Regulus and his soldiers were able to defeat the monster and protect the kingdom of Eldor. Luna was hailed as a hero, and she and King Regulus became best friends, working together to keep the kingdom of Eldor safe and strong. The end. This story teaches us that even when we are facing our greatest fears and challenges, we can find strength and courage in friendship. Just like King Regulus and Luna, we can work together to overcome obstacles and make the world a better place. And most importantly, we should always be willing to lend a helping hand to those in need, just as Luna helped King Regulus in the kingdom of Eldor. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Marylandia, there lived a brave knight named Ron. Ron was known throughout the kingdom as the greatest jouster of all time, having won countless tournaments and battles with his unwavering bravery and unmatched riding skills. Ron lived in a kingdom that was filled with rolling hills and lush forests, dotted with charming villages and bustling cities. The kingdom was surrounded by rugged mountains, with a great river running through its heart that provided life and prosperity to all its people. Ron had grown up in the kingdom and had always felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility for its well-being. He was loved and respected by all, and his bravery in battle was legendary. One day, a dark cloud descended upon the kingdom. A powerful dragon had appeared and was wreaking havoc upon the land, destroying everything in its path. The dragon was said to be indestructible and had never been defeated, striking fear into the hearts of all who lived in the kingdom. The king of Marylandia called upon Ron, the greatest jouster of all time, to save the kingdom from the evil dragon. Ron accepted the challenge and set out on an epic journey to find and defeat the dragon. Ron's journey took him deep into the heart of the kingdom, through forests teeming with exotic creatures and over towering mountains filled with danger and adventure. He met with wise sages who offered him advice and guidance, and he encountered fearsome beasts that tested his bravery and skill. Eventually, Ron arrived at the dragon's lair, a massive and imposing fortress made of black stone that towered over the surrounding countryside. The dragon was sleeping within, and Ron approached with caution, drawing his sword and readying himself for battle. The battle was fierce and lasted for what seemed like an eternity. Ron and the dragon clashed in a whirlwind of fire and steel, exchanging blow after blow. But Ron's bravery and skill proved to be too much for the dragon, and he finally managed to deliver the decisive blow, defeating the beast once and for all. With the dragon defeated, Ron returned to the kingdom as a hero, hailed by all as the greatest jouster and knight of all time. The king of Marylandia awarded him the highest of honors, and Ron was honored with a grand parade. Ron's journey taught him that true bravery is not just about winning battles, but about having the courage to face your fears and fight for what is right. And that is a lesson that will always be remembered in the kingdom of Marylandia, where Ron will forever be remembered as a hero and as an inspiration to all. So now, as you drift off to sleep, imagine yourself as Ron, the brave knight, and set out on your own epic journey through the kingdom of Marylandia, where adventure and excitement await you around every corner. Sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in a magical forest, surrounded by snow-capped mountains, towering trees, and rolling hills, there lived a creature named Glint. The forest was home to many creatures, both friendly and frightening, but Glint was unique. Glint was born with a coat of fur that shimmered and sparkled in the sunlight. His eyes were big and bright, and they always seemed to twinkle with kindness. From the moment he was born, Glint knew he had been given a special mission in life. He was meant to help lost travelers find their way home. And so, Glint spent his days roaming the forest, keeping a watchful eye out for anyone who might be lost. When he came across someone in need, he would approach them and offer his help. At first, many travelers were afraid of Glint. He looked so strange with his shimmering fur and big, bright eyes, but Glint was always gentle and kind. Over time, Glint's reputation grew, and more travelers came to understand that he was there to help them. They would look into his eyes and see the kindness and compassion that was there, and they would trust him. One day, Glint came across a family who had strayed off the path and was now lost. The family's names were Mr. and Mrs. McNeil and their two children, Jack and Jill. They were frightened and didn't know what to do, but Glint appeared and offered to help them. At first, the McNeils were scared of Glint, but as they looked into his eyes, they saw the kindness there, and they began to trust him. Glint led the McNeil family through the forest, showing them the way back to the path. Along the way, he pointed out the friendly creatures of the forest and told them not to be afraid of them. He also warned them of the more dangerous creatures and how to avoid them. Finally, they reached the path, and the McNeil family was able to continue on their journey. As they said goodbye to Glint, they thanked him for his help and told him how grateful they were. Glint's mission in life was to help lost travelers find their way home, and that's exactly what he did for the McNeil family. But he also had another mission as well, and that was to teach people he met an important lesson. The lesson that Glint wanted to teach the McNeil family and all of the travelers he met was to never judge someone based on how they look. Just because someone looks different doesn't mean that they're frightening or harmful. Glint's shimmering fur and big, bright eyes may have made him look strange at first, but those were just outside things. Inside, Glint was kind, compassionate, and always ready to help. And so the story of Glint and the McNeil family teaches us all to look beyond appearances and to always be open to the possibility of kindness and compassion in even the most unexpected places. Once upon a time, there was a brilliant inventor named Professor Henry who had created a time machine. One day, as he was testing the machine, his young son Peter snuck into the time machine and the two of them were transported back in time to the 17th century. At first, the pair were terrified and disoriented, but they quickly realized that they had the power to travel through time and witness some of the most pivotal moments in history. Professor Henry and Peter soon found themselves traveling to ancient Rome, medieval Europe, and even the American Revolution. As they traveled through time, they encountered famous historical figures like Julius Caesar, Leonardo da Vinci, and George Washington. They also witnessed important events like the fall of the Roman Empire, the invention of the printing press, and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But their journey was not without its dangers. Along the way, they encountered sinister forces that sought to disrupt the time-traveling timeline and change history for their own gain. One such force was a group of time-traveling pirates who had stolen a powerful artifact that allowed them to control time itself. Professor Henry and Peter knew that they had to stop the pirates and retrieve the artifact before it fell into the wrong hands. With the help of their new friends, they set out on a perilous journey across the seas to track down the pirates and confront them. In the end, they were able to defeat the pirates and retrieve the artifact, but not before witnessing some of the most extraordinary events in history. They watched as the pyramids were built, saw knights jousting in medieval tournaments, and even witnessed the birth of the universe. As they finally made their way back to the present day, Professor Henry and Peter knew that their journey through time had changed them forever. They had seen the power and beauty of the universe, and they knew that they would always be connected to it in some way. And as they fell asleep that night, they dreamed of all the incredible adventures that still lay ahead for them in the future. Once upon a time, there was a happy family named the Smiths. Every year, they looked forward to the Super Bowl, not just because of the big game, but because it was a special time they could spend together as a family. The father, Mark, was a big football fan and loved the excitement of the game. The mother, Sarah, enjoyed spending quality time with her family, especially her little boy, Timmy. Timmy was the youngest member of the family and the apple of his parents' eye. He looked up to his father and mother with reverence and adoration and aspired to make them both proud. The day of the big game finally arrived, and the family gathered together in the living room to watch the game. Timmy's eyes were wide with excitement, taking in every play and cheering alongside his parents. Mark and Sarah were equally enthusiastic, shouting and laughing as the game went on. But as the game progressed, the family realized that what they were really enjoying was each other's company. They laughed and talked about silly things and took time to really listen to each other. The big event was just an excuse to spend time together and create new memories, to continue building the bond that held their family together. Timmy realized that what was truly important was not just the game, but spending time with his loved ones and creating memories that would last a lifetime. He learned that it's not about winning or losing, but about being together and having fun. The love and happiness he felt in that moment was more valuable than any touchdown or touchdown dance. The moral of this story is that the best moments are those spent with the people we love. Life is not about winning or losing, but about creating memories and building relationships that last a lifetime. So, gather your family and friends, watch a game, or do anything else that brings you together and make memories that will last a lifetime. Once upon a time, in a galaxy far away, there was an astronaut named Xander. Xander was a brave and adventurous space explorer who had traveled to many distant planets and had many exciting experiences One day, while exploring a remote corner of the galaxy, Xander came across a strange spaceship that had crash-landed on a nearby planet. He quickly landed his own spacecraft and rushed over to investigate. As he approached the crash site, Xander was surprised to see a small green alien lying amidst the wreckage. The alien was injured and looked up at Xander with pleading eyes. Xander knew he had to help, so he carefully lifted the alien into his spacecraft and took off for the nearest space station. At the space station, Xander worked tirelessly to nurse the alien back to health. He learned that the alien's name was Zog, and that he was from a planet called Zagonia. Zog was a friendly and playful creature who loved to have fun and explore new places. Xander and Zog quickly became best friends, and before long, they were off on new adventures. But their adventures were not without its challenges. They encountered a group of space pirates who were determined to capture Zog and sell him to the highest bidder. Xander and Zog's space pirate encounter took place on a distant planet that was known for its treacherous space routes. The planet was ruled by a notorious group of space pirates who roamed the skies, searching for unsuspecting travelers to rob and plunder. As Xander and Zog traveled through the planet's airspace, they suddenly found themselves surrounded by a fleet of pirate ships. The pirate leader, Captain Crawl, approached them and demanded that they hand over Zog. Captain Crawl had heard of Zog's reputation as a valuable and rare alien species. Xander and Zog knew they had to think fast. Zog suggested that he pretend to be sick and in need of medical attention. Xander agreed, and together they put on a convincing performance. The pirates were fooled, and they allowed Xander to take Zog to a nearby medical station for treatment. Once they were safely inside the medical station, Xander and Zog sprang into action. Xander used his technical skills to reprogram the medical robots, and Zog used his unique abilities to distract the pirates and create chaos. With the help of their new robot allies, Xander and Zog were able to overpower the pirates and escape. They made a daring leap into their spacecraft and took off into the safety of deep space. The space pirate encounter was just one of many exciting adventures that Xander and Zog had together. They were an unlikely pair, but their friendship was unbreakable. Xander was a brave and resourceful astronaut who was always up for a challenge. Zog was a mischievous and playful alien who loved to have fun and explore new places. Together, they were a dynamic duo, and their adventures were always filled with laughter, excitement, and the thrill of discovery. And when it was time for Xander to return to Earth, Zog came with him, and that's where they continued to have many fun-filled adventures. They explored new worlds, met new friends, and always found a way to turn even the most difficult challenges into a fun and hilarious adventure. And so, Xander and Zog became legends, known throughout the galaxy as the greatest space adventurers of all time. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, remember the adventures of Xander and Zog, and know that anything is possible with a little courage, a lot of imagination, and a good friend by your side. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there lived a little girl named Matilda. Matilda was a curious and adventurous 5-year-old girl with strawberry blonde hair. One day, while playing in the woods near her home, she stumbled upon a hidden glade that she had never seen before. As she explored the glade, she noticed that everything around her seemed to sparkle and shine with a magical glow. And then she saw them, tiny little creatures with wings, fluttering about in the air. They were fairies. Matilda was amazed by the fairies and wanted to get to know them better. She approached them cautiously, but the fairies seemed just as curious about her as she was about them. They started to come closer, and soon Matilda was surrounded by a swarm of tiny, sparkling fairies. The fairies explained to Matilda that they lived in a secret kingdom hidden deep in the woods. They had been living in peace for many years, but recently had been threatened by a group of evil trolls. The trolls had been destroying the fairies' homes and gardens and scaring away the woodland creatures that lived in the kingdom. Matilda was horrified to hear about the trolls and knew she had to help the fairies. She asked the fairies what could she do, and they told her that they needed a brave and clever protector who could outsmart the trolls. While Matilda thought long and hard about how she could protect the fairies, she remembered that she had a toy sword at home that she used to play with her brother. So she ran home, grabbed the sword, and ran back to the fairy kingdom. When she arrived, the fairies were amazed to see her with the sword. Matilda explained her plan. She would use her sword to distract the trolls while the fairies worked to repair their homes and gardens. And that's just what she did. Matilda ran straight into the troll's lair, brandishing her sword and yelling at the top of her lungs. The trolls were so surprised to see Matilda that they forgot about the fairies for the moment. Matilda kept the trolls distracted for as long as she could, and in the meantime, the fairies worked tirelessly to repair their homes and gardens. When the trolls finally realized what was happening, they charged out of their lair and ran straight into a trap that Matilda had set up with the help of the fairies. The trolls were caught, and the fairies were safe once again. The fairies were so grateful to Matilda for her bravery and cleverness that they made her their queen and protector. From that day forward, Matilda would visit the fairy kingdom every day to check on her friends and make sure that they were safe and happy. The moral of this story is that even the smallest and youngest among us can be brave and clever, and that with a little bit of courage and determination, we can make a big difference in the world around us. And if we show kindness and help others, we might just find ourselves rewarded in ways we've never imagined. Welcome to the world of pirates, where the salty air is thick with the scent of adventure, and the crystal blue waters sparkle with the promise of untold treasures. Here, amidst the majestic scenery and bustling cities, the young pirate Captain Diego sets out on a quest to uncover the truth behind a forbidden artifact and the evil that threatens to destroy everything he holds dear. From a bird's eye view, this world of pirates is a sight to behold. The endless expanse of the ocean stretches out before you, dotted with lush green islands that rise up from the sea like emeralds. The sun beats down upon the land, baking it with the warm tropical heat, and the lush greenery is alive with the sounds of exotic birds and rustling leaves. As you sail closer to shore, the smell of the salty air intensifies, mixed with the fragrant scent of tropical flowers. The lush vegetation is thick with ferns and towering palm trees, and the rocky cliffs are home to brilliant tropical birds that call out in a symphony of color and sound. The air is heavy with mystery and magic, and as you approach the bustling cities, you can sense the presence of something greater at work. The buildings are a mixture of old world charm and modern conveniences, and the bustling docks are filled with sailors and merchants exchanging stories of their latest adventures. In this world of pirates, anything is possible and anything can happen. So come along and join young pirate Captain Diego on his quest to save the world and uncover the truth behind the forbidden artifact. The journey ahead is filled with danger, adventure, and excitement, and there's no telling what secrets may be revealed along the way. Once upon a time, in a small town, there were two best friends, Daniel and Spencer. They loved doing everything together, from playing video games to going on adventures around their neighborhood. But more than anything else, they both shared a dream of one day starting their own YouTube channel. Every night, they would talk for hours about what kind of videos they wanted to make, what games they wanted to play, and how they would make their channel stand out. They would practice recording videos on Daniel's old phone and watch other successful YouTubers for inspiration. One night, as they were drifting off to sleep, they both had the same dream. In the dream, they had finally created their YouTube channel, and it was a massive success. They had thousands of subscribers, and people were commenting on how much they loved their videos. When they woke up the next morning, they both excitedly called each other. They felt like their dream was becoming more and more real each day. So they decided to start recording videos, even if they were just silly ones for now. As they continued to work on their channel, they faced many challenges. They had to learn how to edit videos, deal with negative comments, and balance their work with their passion. But through it all, they remained best friends, supporting each other and cheering each other on. Finally, after many months of hard work, their channel started to gain traction. They were getting more views, more subscribers, and even some sponsorships. It was a dream come true for both of them. But the most important thing was that they had each other. They learned that chasing their dreams was more enjoyable and meaningful when they did it together. Their friendship gave them strength and courage to face any obstacle that came their way. The moral of this story is that friendship is a powerful force that can help us achieve our dreams. When we have someone to support us and cheer us on, anything is possible. So, cherish your friendships and chase your dreams together. And there you have it, folks. Another bedtime adventure brought to you by Stories to the Nation. Don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can join us on our next journey into the world of imagination. Good night and sweet dreams.